Welcome back, dear friends, to our sanctuary of the hidden and the profound. Tonight, as you prepare for deep sleep, we are entering a vault of light and luxury. This is a sleep story designed for deep relaxation and historical immersion. This is a bedtime story for the restless, a journey into the heart of the most expensive object ever created. Settle into your blankets. Let the weight of the day fade as we unlock Vault 23. Imagine, if you will, walking through the cool, silent corridors of our museum. The air here is different tonight. It carries the heavy metallic tang of cold gold, the scent of crushed velvet, and the faint woody aroma of ancient cedar chests. We are standing before a door that is entirely gilded, its surface covered in intricate, swirling floral patterns. In the center of the vault, resting on a pedestal of dark, polished mahogany, is a single object. It is a pigeon blood ruby, the size of a walnut, glowing with a deep internal fire. This stone is an orphan of history, a fragment of a masterpiece that was once the seat of emperors. Tonight, we are traveling to the Red Fort of Delhi in the 17th century. We are going to explore the legend of the Jewel of Thrones, the lost splendor of the Peacock Throne. Let us begin our meditation on the seat of the sun. 1. The vision of the King of Kings, Shah Jahan. Once again, our journey leads us back to the man who dreamed in stone and light, the Mughal Emperor, Shah Jahan. By the year 1628, Shah Jahan had reached the absolute peak of his power. He ruled an empire that stretched across the Indian subcontinent, a land of unimaginable wealth. But for the man who built the Taj Mahal, a simple wooden chair was not enough. He wanted a throne that would be a physical manifestation of his divinity. He wanted to sit upon the Takht-i-Tavous, the Peacock Throne. Imagine the commission. The emperor called for his master of the treasury and ordered that all the finest gemstones collected by his ancestors over 100 years be brought forth. He did not want a throne made of wood and covered in gold leaf. He wanted a throne made of solid gold, encrusted so thickly with jewels that the metal beneath would be invisible. This was an act of supreme confidence. It took 7 years to complete. 7 years of the most delicate, painstaking labor. As you relax into your bed, imagine the quiet of the imperial workshop. There is no sound but the soft clink of a jeweler's hammer and the rhythmic shush of a silk cloth polishing a diamond. The workmen are not hurried. They are building an eternal seat. Feel that sense of slow, deliberate time. You have all the time in the world tonight. The throne is growing, sparkle by sparkle, in the silence of your imagination. 2. The anatomy of splendor, 1,000 kilograms of gold. What does the most expensive object in history look like? Imagine a platform of solid gold, 6 feet long and 4 feet wide. It was supported by 12 pillars made of emeralds. The canopy above it was also gold, draped with strings of pearls that hung like frozen rain. The weight of the gold alone was staggering. Historical records suggest it weighed over 1,000 kilograms, more than a ton of pure 24-karat gold. Think of the color of that much gold. It is not the bright yellow gold of modern jewelry. It is a deep, warm, heavy orange gold. It feels substantial. It feels eternal. As you lie still, imagine that warmth spreading through your own body. Your limbs feel heavy, like solid gold. You are grounded. You are immovable. But it was the stones that made the world gasp. There were hundreds of diamonds, thousands of emeralds, and countless rubies and sapphires. In the center of the canopy, facing the emperor, sat the Koh-i-Noor, the mountain of light. This diamond, then the largest in the world, acted as a prism, catching the sunlight and shattering it into 1,000,000 rainbows that danced across the walls of the palace. Let your eyes close and see those rainbows. They are soft and colorful, drifting across the ceiling of your mind. You don't need to focus on them, just let them move. You are floating in a sea of refracted light. You are safe. You are surrounded by the wealth of an empire. 3. The symbol of the peacock, Takht-i-Tavous. The throne took its name from the 2 magnificent peacocks that stood behind the emperor's seat. In Persian and Mughal culture, the peacock was a symbol of royalty, beauty, and the celestial garden. These were not mere carvings. They were masterpieces of enamel and gemstone. Imagine the tails of these birds. Every eye in the peacock feather was a massive deep blue sapphire, surrounded by a ring of emeralds. The bodies of the birds were covered in a kaleidoscope of diamonds and rubies. Between the 2 peacocks stood a tree made of gold and silver, with leaves made of emeralds and fruit made of pearls. When the emperor sat upon the throne, it looked as if he were emerging from a magical forest of light. Think of the rhythm of those feathers, the way they fan out in a perfect mathematical arc. Symmetry, once again, is the secret language of the museum. Everything is in its right place. The blue of the sapphires is the color of a deep, cooling ocean. The green of the emeralds is the color of a lush, quiet forest. Let those colors wash over you. The cooling blue, the restful green. You are walking through that golden forest now. The leaves are not rustling, they are silent. The birds are not crying, they are still. Everything is frozen in a moment of perfect, bejeweled peace. 4. The Hall of Private Audience, Diwan-i-Khas. The Peacock Throne did not sit in a public square. It sat in the most exclusive room in the world, the Diwan-i-Khas, the Hall of Private Audience in the Red Fort of Delhi. Imagine this room. The floors are white marble, inlaid with floral patterns of carnelian and lapis lazuli. The ceiling was once made of solid silver. The pillars are covered in gold leaf. There are no walls here, only open arches that look out over the river Yamuna and the lush green gardens of the fort. On the arches of this room, an inscription is carved in gold. It says, "If there is a paradise on earth, it is this, it is this. it is this. When the emperor entered the hall to take his seat, the air was thick with the scent of attar, concentrated rose oil and sandalwood. The light of the sun, reflecting off the river, would enter the hall and hit the throne, turning the entire room into a golden fire. But inside the hall, it was always cool. The thick marble floors held the chill of the night. The river breeze moved through the arches like a soft whisper. As you settle into your blankets, imagine that room. Feel the coolness of the marble beneath you and the warmth of the golden light above you. It is a perfect contrast. You are in the most protected, most beautiful space in the world. No noise from the outside city can reach you here. There is only the river, the rose oil, and the silence of the throne. You are the only guest in the hall of private audience tonight. 5. The poetry of Said Gilani. Every masterpiece has a soul, and the soul of the Peacock Throne was written in verse. The emperor commissioned the poet Said Gilani to write an epic poem in praise of the throne. These verses were inscribed on the inside of the canopy in emerald green enamel. The poem described the throne not as an object of wealth, but as a mirror of the sun. It said that the jewels were not stones, but dewdrops from heaven that had been frozen in time to honor the king. Think of that idea, frozen dewdrops. Every diamond on your bedspread of stars is a drop of celestial water. They are not hard or sharp. They are soft and liquid. As you breathe in, imagine the scent of the ink used by the calligraphers. It is a mix of musk and saffron. Every letter was written with a single hair brush. The rhythm of the calligraphy is like the waves of the sea. It rises and falls, flowing across the golden ceiling. You don't need to read the words. You only need to feel the flow. Your thoughts are becoming calligraphy, elegant, swirling, and slowly fading into the gold. 6. The cost of eternity. Double the Taj Mahal. The world often forgets the sheer scale of the Mughal treasury. To build the Taj Mahal, a massive complex of marble and gardens, it cost approximately 5 million rupees in the 17th century. But the Peacock Throne? The throne cost 10 million rupees. It was worth twice as much as the most famous building on earth. It was, quite literally, the concentrated wealth of an entire nation poured into a single piece of furniture. Why would a man build such a thing? Because Shah Jahan understood the power of the visual. He knew that people would forget laws and they would forget battles, but they would never forget the man who sat upon a mountain of light. But weight comes with a price. The throne was so heavy that it could never be moved easily. It was a gravity well of power. It anchored the empire to the floor of the Red Fort. Feel that gravity in your own body now. You are sinking deeper into your mattress. You are heavy, like the gold of the throne. You are anchored. The world can spin, but you are not moving. You are the center of the room. You are the master of the treasury. Everything you have ever worked for is safe. Everything you have ever dreamed of is gathered here in the dark, glowing with a soft, eternal light. 7. The Peacock's Shadow, the Coming Storm. For 100 years, the Peacock Throne remained the heart of the Mughal world. Emperor after emperor sat upon its velvet cushions. They watched the seasons change through the marble arches. They heard the petitions of the poor and the songs of the poets. The throne became a symbol of invincibility, a belief that as long as the sun rose and the peacocks stood guard, the empire would never fall. But wealth this great acts as a beacon for the hungry. Far to the west, in the mountains of Persia, a new sun was rising. A man named Nadir Shah was looking toward Delhi. He wasn't looking for land. He wasn't looking for converts. He was looking for the gold. As we prepare to end this first part of our journey, imagine the quiet before the storm. The Red Fort is peaceful. The river Yamuna is still. The candles in the Diwani Khas are flickering softly, their light dancing off the Koh-i-Noor diamond. The throne is waiting, but the shadows are growing longer. The lost splendor is about to begin its long, dark journey into the unknown. As you drift closer to the edge of sleep, hold on to the image of the gold. Don't think about the war to come. Think only of the static beauty. The throne is perfect. The peacocks are still. The emerald pillars are cold. You are safe in the 17th century. The doors of the vault are still open, and the light is warm. 8. The Sword of Persia, Nadir Shah. As we continue our journey into the heart of the 17th century, the air in our vault seems to grow colder. The scent of roses is replaced by the smell of iron and dry mountain air. In 1739, the peace of the Mughal Empire was shattered. A man named Nadir Shah, the Napoleon of Persia, descended from the mountains with a force that the world had never seen. He was a brilliant tactician, a man of fire and ambition who had risen from a humble shepherd to become the most feared conqueror in Asia. Imagine the sound of his army approaching Delhi. It is not a rhythmic march, but a heavy rolling thunder, the sound of tens of thousands of horses and the low guttural growl of war elephants. Nadir Shah did not come to rule India. He came for the treasury. He had heard the legends of the Peacock Throne in his youth, stories of a chair made of light and stars. To him, the throne was more than gold. It was the ultimate trophy. It was the proof that he had conquered the King of Kings. As you relax into your pillows, think of that transition. The world is shifting from the soft velvet luxury of the Mughal court to the hard metallic reality of a conqueror. But you are safe. You are watching from a distance. The storm is outside the walls. Inside, the gold is still warm. 9. The Night of the Great Sacking, Delhi, 1739. The fall of Delhi was a night of fire and shadows. For 58 days, Nadir Shah occupied the city. He sat in the very hall we explored earlier, the Diwani Khas, and watched as the wealth of the Mughals was brought before him in an endless stream of crates and bags. The massacre in the streets was a tragedy of history, but inside the palace there was a strange, terrifying stillness. Nadir Shah demanded that the Peacock Throne be dismantled for transport. Imagine the sound of the Persian blacksmiths entering the hall. They brought heavy iron pry bars and hammers. They didn't see a work of art. They saw a puzzle of precious metal. They began to pry the emerald pillars from the base. They unscrewed the golden peacocks. They stripped the pearls from the canopy like fruit from a tree. Think of the clink of the stones hitting the marble floor. Clink, clink, clink. Thousands of diamonds, rubies, and sapphires were poured into leather sacks. The ton of solid gold was broken down into manageable blocks. As you breathe in and out, imagine the weight of that loot. It is a heavy, grounding thought. The empire is being packed away into crates. The gold is being gathered. You are letting go of your own weight tonight. You are packing away the worries of the day, just as the Persians packed away the treasures of Delhi. Everything is being organized. Everything is being prepared for the journey. 10. The Great Caravan, 700 Elephants. When Nadir Shah finally left Delhi to return to Persia, his caravan was the most valuable procession in the history of the world. It is estimated that he took with him treasures worth over 700 million rupees. To put that in perspective, he took so much wealth that he was able to abolish all taxes in Persia for 3 years. Imagine the sight of this caravan moving across the plains of India toward the mountains of the west. There were 700 elephants, 4,000 camels, and 12,000 horses, all groaning under the weight of the Mughal gold. In the very center of this massive line, guarded by the elite Persian cavalry, were the pieces of the Peacock Throne. The peacocks were wrapped in heavy silk. The gold pillars were hidden in wooden chests. The stones were carried in small, iron-bound boxes strapped to the backs of the strongest camels. Think of the rhythm of that journey, the clop, clop, clop of the hooves, the slow, swaying motion of the camels, the dust rising in the golden light of the setting sun. As you drift closer to sleep, imagine you are part of that caravan. You are moving slowly across a vast, quiet landscape. There is no hurry. The destination is far away. You are being carried. You are safe in the center of the line, surrounded by a mountain of light. 11. The Curse of the Mountain, the Koh-i-Noor. At the very top of the loot was a single stone that would change the course of empires, the Koh-i-Noor. Legend says that when Nadir Shah first saw the diamond, which had been hidden in the turban of the Mughal emperor, he gasped and shouted, "Koh-i-Noor," which means mountain of light. But the stone carried a dark heritage. An ancient Hindu text claimed that he who owns this diamond will own the world, but will also know all its misfortunes. Only God or a woman can wear it with impunity. For Nadir Shah, the curse was swift. After returning to Persia, the weight of the treasure seemed to drive him into a state of paranoia. He grew suspicious of his own sons, his own generals, and the very walls of his palace. He slept with a sword in his hand, surrounded by the gold he had stolen, but he could no longer find peace. Think of the coldness of that diamond. It is a stone that has seen too much history. It is a spark of light that has caused 1,000 shadows. You don't need that light tonight. You are turning away from the sharp, bright edges of the world. You are seeking the softness of the dark. The Koh-i-Noor is a mountain of ice. Your bed is a valley of warmth. Let the diamond fade into the distance. It belongs to the kings and the ghosts. You belong to the quiet. 12. The vanishing. The melting pots of Mashhad. In 1747, the Peacock Throne finally vanished. Nadir Shah was assassinated in his tent by his own officers. In the chaos that followed, the royal treasury was looted once again. But this time, it wasn't a king who took the prize, it was the soldiers. The Peacock Throne was too large to carry in the middle of a civil war. And so, history tells us a heartbreaking story. The throne was broken apart once more. Imagine the scene in the Persian city of Mashhad. The solid gold platform was chopped into pieces with axes. The emerald pillars were shattered to get at the stones inside. The golden peacocks were melted down in crude clay pots to be turned into coins and jewelry. The jewel of thrones simply dissolved. It became 1,000 different things: a ring on a soldier's finger, a coin in a merchant's pocket, a hidden stone in a distant village. Think of that dispersion. The energy of the throne was released back into the world. It is no longer one thing, it is everywhere. A fragment of that gold might be in the very room where you are lying now. A sliver of that history might be closer than you think. Everything is recycled by time. Nothing is ever truly lost. It just changes shape. You are changing shape now too, from a creature of action into a creature of dreams. 13. The phantom successors, the Sun Throne. The memory of the Peacock Throne was so powerful that the Persian kings who followed Nadir Shah tried to recreate it. They built the Sun Throne and the Naderi Throne, which you can still see today in the central bank of Iran. They are beautiful. They are covered in thousands of jewels. They are masterpieces of the Qajar and Pahlavi eras. But they are not the original. They are homages to a ghost. When you look at the replicas, you realize that the true Peacock Throne exists only in the imagination. It is a masterpiece of the mind. It is a symbol of a time when the world believed that beauty could be absolute. Imagine walking through the modern vault in Tehran. It is silent. It is climate controlled. The jewels are behind thick glass. But if you close your eyes, you can still hear the echo of the original throne. You can hear the river Yamuna. You can smell the rose oil of the Diwan-i-Khas. Let that echo lead you towards sleep. You don't need to see the throne to know it is there. You don't need to touch the gold to feel its warmth. You are the curator of your own internal museum. The most beautiful things you own are the ones that can never be stolen. 14. Closing the vault, the seat of the sun. We return now to our Museum of Secrets. The pigeon blood ruby on the mahogany pedestal is still glowing. Perhaps it was once the eye of a peacock. Perhaps it sat on the canopy, catching the light of a Delhi sunset. We step back from the pedestal. We move toward the gilded door of Vault 23. The metallic scent of the gold and the heavy perfume of the Persian roses begin to fade. We hear the soft, final click of the lock. The corridor of the museum is dark and safe. The jewel of thrones is sealed away, protected by the shadows of history. Tonight, you have traveled 4,000 miles and 400 years. You have seen the rise of an empire and the melting of a masterpiece. You have carried the weight of the gold, and now you are ready to let it go. You are weightless. You are silent. The gold has turned into moonlight. The emeralds have turned into the leaves of a dark, quiet forest. The peacocks have folded their wings and are asleep. As you feel the perfection of your own rest, remember that you are the most precious thing in this museum. You are the sun at the center of your own world. And so, dear friends, we leave the lost splendor of the Peacock Throne and return to the world of the present. We carry the warmth of the gold within us, the cooling blue of the sapphires, and the silent, rhythmic pulse of the imperial night. The Peacock Throne has taught us that while the form of beauty may change, the awe it inspires is eternal. As you drift off, feel the golden light surrounding you. You are part of a long, beautiful, and eternal history. Sleep well, dear friends, and find rest in the heart of the Jewel of Thrones. Good night.